Okay, in the last lecture, we have discussed up to the subset transform, and today we are going to discuss the last topic of Unit 1, that is quantization effects in the computation of the DFT. Okay, so now we have to discuss what is the rounding of error or quantization errors we are getting when we go for the implementation of DFT, either using direct computation or using FFT algorithm. So let us start that discussion. So it is important to know that the effect of quantization errors in the computation. So in particular, we shall consider the effect of round off errors due to the multiplication performed in the DFT with fixed point arithmetic. So here we consider only the round off errors or quantization error that created due to the multiplication performed in the DFT with fixed point arithmetic. The model that we shall adopt for characterizing round off errors in multiplication is the additive white noise. Here we are using the model which is additive white noise. We always, when you go for the calculation of noise and all, always we prefer the model that is additive white noise. Why? Because it is uniformly distributed and having the constant value throughout. So to analyze any model, always we prefer the additive white noise, and specifically if I am talking, we prefer the additive white Gaussian noise. So that we use in the statistical analysis of round off errors in the IIR and FIR filters. Although the statistical analysis whatever we are performing today, that is used for the rounding, but it is also we can apply this analysis for the truncation in 2's complement arithmetic. So though we are interested only about the quantization error, we apply this analysis, we consider the additive white noise model, and now we are calculating how much is the quantization error in the implementation of DFT with direct computation or with FFT computation. Okay, so first one is the quantization errors in the direct computation of the DFT. So if we implement the DFT with the direct computation or with the equation or with the trivial factor, what kind of errors we are getting? So given a finite duration sequence x of n, okay, one instruction to all of you, as many of you students are continuously joining and leaving the class. So today onwards, I am allowing the 5 or 10 minutes window to join the class, and then after the class is locked. So if you left the class, again you have to take the permission. Okay. So if you are leaving the class due to some network issues, you are allowed one or twice to enter the class. But if you are continuously leaving and joining the class, that thing will not be allowed, because in last log of Google class or Google Meet, when you see that around one or few students are leaving and joining the class 14 or 16 times. Means if they are that much is they are leaving and joining frequency, how much class they attend, I doubt. So to avoid these kind of situations, I log the class immediately after 10 minutes. So within next 5 minutes or 10 minutes you are allowed to join. But if you are left the class and again you want to rejoin over there, I will allow only once or twice. That is, I consider there's maybe there are network issues there. Okay, but if you are continuously leaving and joining, that thing is not allowed from today's lecture onwards. Okay, so given a finite duration sequence x of n, where 0 is in or n less than or equal to n minus 1, the DFT of x of n is given as, this is the equation we are using for the calculation of DFT, that is x of k is equal to sigma n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x of n into omega n raised to nk, where the values of k is nothing but n number of points, so that is 0 to n minus 1. Here our phase factor or twiddle factor is e raised to minus j 2 pi by n. So we assume that in general x of n is a complex valued sequence. So whatever x of n we are taking, that is a complex valued sequence. We also assume that the real and imaginary components of x of n and omega n raised to nk are represented by b number of bits. So here you can see, here we are multiplying the input sequence with the twiddle factor, and we assume that here we know that this omega or x factor having the complex value, and also we assume that this sequence, whatever input sequence we are applying, that may also having the complex terms, means real as well as imaginary terms. So in that case, when one complex term is multiplied with the another complex term. So what happened? So the computation of this product xn into omega n raised to nk requires 4 number of real multiplication. Real into real, real into complex, complex into real, and last one is again real into complex one. So total 4 real multiplications are required to perform this single operation. Okay, so for each multiplication there is a rounding of error from 2b bits to b number of bits. As after every multiplication, whatever answer we are getting, we assume that that is from 2b bits, and we are rounding that to the b number of bits. So hence there are 4 quantization error for each complex valued multiplication. So as we have seen, or as we have discussed, we are doing the 4 complex multiplication. So in this 4 complex multiplication, as we are rounding the multiplication bits from twice b to b, so there is always a error in each multiplication. So 4 such multiplication we are performing. So here we are getting the 4 quantization error for each complex valued multiplication. All of you clear up to this, or having any query? Okay, so in the direct computation of the DFT, as there are total n number of complex valued multiplication for each point in the DFT, as we have written in this equation, the value of k is from 0 to n minus 1. So total number of points are n, or you can say n number of complex valued multiplications are there for each point in the DFT. So therefore what happened? So total number of real multiplication in the computation of a single point is 4n. So total multiplications or real multiplication needed are 4n. So consequently there are 4n number of quantization errors. So if we calculate that, so the total errors we are getting, that is 4n. For each multiplication, for each complex multiplication, we are having the 4 errors, and total n number of such complex multiplication. So 4n number of multiplications are there, and for each multiplication there is a quantization error. So 4n quantization errors will be produced when we go for the direct computation of the DFT. Okay, now here before starting the calculation, we are putting these 3 assumptions. The first assumption is the quantization error due to the rounding are uniformly distributed. Random variables in the range minus delta by 2 to plus delta by 2, where delta is equal to 2 raised to minus b. So this means whatever errors we are considering, they are not specific to particular point. They are uniformly distributed in the range, that is minus delta by 2 to plus delta by 2, where the delta is defined as 2 raised to minus b. And the 4n quantization errors are mutually uncorrelated. Okay, so here we assume that whatever errors we are getting, total number of errors are 4n, and all these errors are mutually uncorrelated. They are not related to one another. So means if you are getting one error, it will not affect the results of the second error. So here we can say all are mutually uncorrelated. So there is no relation or correlation between these errors. Another is the 4n quantization error are uncorrelated with the sequence x of n. They are mutually uncorrelated, as well their quantization errors are uncorrelated with the input sequence x of n. So these are the 3 assumptions. With this 3 assumption, we are going for the calculation. Since each of the quantization errors has a variance, so here we are defining the variance for the quantization errors, that is sigma e square is given as delta square by 12, where delta is 2 raised to minus b is equal to minus 2b, the delta square. So you are getting the 2 raised to minus 2b divided by 12. The variance of the quantization error from the 4n multiplication. This is the 4 single multiplication. Okay, now to calculate the quantization error for 4n multiplication, this term is multiplied with the 4n. So we multiply this term with the 4n. 4n into sigma e square. So sigma e square. So we apply this value over here and simplify. Your answer is sigma q square n by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b. Just a second, let me see the query. So how is this variance is calculated? So for variance calculation, this is a standard formula. Okay, so whenever we are applying the variance in any of the system, or we calculate the variance of any binary system, so equation is delta square by 12, and here you have to define the delta. Delta means your step size. So here that is 2 raised to minus 2b. So we are taking this, the sigma e square means the variance of that particular area error, means that how much variation we are expecting from that particular error. So here that is delta square by 12, and for delta square I am applying this value and we are getting this. This is for single error, or you can say the quantization error for single point DFT. But as there are total number of 4n real multiplications, we are getting the total n by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b number of quantization errors. Hope you clear, Rishabh. If you have any query, you can please unmute and ask further. So we will use this as a result. Yeah. Here this is the nothing but variance we have written. This is a standard equation for variance, whatever I am utilizing over here. And we apply this for calculation of single error. And as there are total 4n number of multiplication, now we can say the total number of quantization errors are this one, n by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b. We are not deriving the equation of variance over here. We are utilizing that equation, which is already there. Okay. Okay, hence the variance of the quantization error is the proportional to the size of DFT. Here you can see, if I want to write this equation, here this is the quantization error for 4n multiplication. So you are getting the term sigma q square is equal to 4n into sigma e square. So if you, after simplification, if I want to write one general comment for this, the comment will be whatever sigma q square I am getting, that is proportional to n. As the n varies, the value of this quantization error will increase, or both are proportional. As your n is increased, this error will increase. As your n is number of DFT will decrease, the sigma q square will also decrease. So here that thing is written. Hence the variance of the quantization error is proportional to the size of the DFT. That is nothing but n over here. Okay, note that when n is a power of 2, define the n as a n is equal to 2 raised to v. The variance can be expressed. So now if I simplify this equation further by writing n is equal to 2 raised to v, I can represent the previous equation by this sigma q square is equal to 2 raised to minus 2 b minus v by 2 divided by 3. So this is the simplified equation for the quantization error for the direct computation of DFT. So this expression implies that every fourfold increase in the size of n of the DFT requires an additional bit in computational process of precision to offset the additional quantization error. So to get the same precision, or to get the solution of this, what happened every time when this n increased by fourfold, you have to add one additional bit to compensate, or you can say to offset the additional quantization error. So that is nothing but every fourfold increase in the value of n or size of the n of the DFT requires an additional bit in computational precision to offset the additional quantization errors. Okay, so this is, now we have seen that. So from this, our main equation is that sigma q square is equal to n by 3 into 2 raised to b. This is one equation which is very important. It relates your quantization error with the number of DFT points. Yes, anybody having query? Yes. Sir, please explain the last point, fourfold increase port. Okay. Here that thing is mentioned fourfold. If you apply the value of n over here, that is n is equal to 2 by v, and here I am taking v by 2 over here, and you simplify this, you can see for every single means you can say when n is increased by fourfold, So that is 2 raised to v. So here 2 raised to 2 you are getting. So we simplify as minus 2 into b minus v by 2. Okay. So for example, now you take n is equal to, earlier it is 2 raised to 4, then 2 raised to 8. So fourfold increase will be there. So when you apply the fourfold increase over there, this number will be increased by value 1 only. So you can say that for fourfold increase of n, what happen when your number of points are increased by fourfold, you have to add one additional bit to compensate or to offset the additional quantization error. So here your bit size will be increased by 1. Okay, that we will discuss in the next example. I will show you that thing. Okay, so now up to now this is the main equation whatever we have derived. So that is sigma q square is equal to n by 3 2 raised to minus 2b. Okay, so in this the main relation is your sigma or quantization error is proportional to the value of n point DFT. Okay, now one thing is to prevent the overflow, the input sequence to the DFT requires scaling. So in any of the digital sequence or any of the sequence to you can say to prevent the overflow, means whatever size allowed to for the computation, if you are going above that range, we have to restrict or prevent that overflow. So to prevent the overflow, what we require is we have to put some upper bound. So here we put some upper bound on the DFT. So that is mod of xk will be less than or equal to summation or sigma n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 x of n. So if the dynamic range in addition is minus 1 by 1, the mod of xk is less than 1. So if we select the dynamic range from minus 1 to 1, so in that case what happen, we will get this bound or upper bound, that is mod of xk or magnitude of xk will be less than 1. So to obtain this, what you require, you have to bound the input sequence also. So whatever input sequence or mode of input sequence we are applying, so sigma n is equal to 0 to n minus 1 mod of x of n less than 1. So in this case, if you put the range bound input, you are getting the range bound outputs. In simple meaning is, if your sequence is range bound, your output or your DFT will also become range bound. So if mod of x of n is initially scaled such that we are getting mod of xn is less than 1 for all values of n, then each point in the sequence can be divided by n to ensure that the above equation is satisfied. So to get this value, make this value less than 1, what happen? We are scaling the entire sequence by the value n. So what happen? Now your sequence is normalized or scaled by the factor n. So all values are now coming in the range that is less than 1. So when you do this, what happen? You are getting the mod of xk having this upper bound. Okay, so for example, suppose that the signal sequence x of n is white, and after scaling each value x of n of the sequence is uniformly distributed in the range minus 1 by n to plus 1 by n. So if I select this range minus 1 by n to plus 1 by n, so the variance of the sequence is, now we define the variance of the signal. Earlier we defined the variance of the error. Now we are defining the variance of the signal. So here minus 1 by n to 1 by n. So the range is, you can say here delta will be this higher value, that is 1 by n, minus, again you are writing the minus 1 by n, two by n. So here your delta will become the 2 by n. So that value we are 2 by n square divided by 12. So that is equal to 1 by 3 the output DFT coefficients. Okay, so this is the variance of the input sequence. The output we are having n such samples. Okay, so such n samples, so it is multiplied with value n. So when you multiply it with value n, what happen? Now you are getting the sigma x square, means the variance of the output DFT. So that will be 1 upon 3n. Okay, so now we calculate the signal to noise ratio. So that is sigma capital X square divided by sigma q square. So when you apply the equation, the simplified answer is 2 raised to 2b divided by n square. So here that is a signal to noise ratio. So that represent 2 raised to 2b divided by n square. So we observe that the scaling is responsible for reducing the SNR by value n. So when we do the scaling, it will reduce the SNR by the value n. So this combination of scaling and quantization error result in a reduction that is proportional to n square. So what happened? Now this term means, if I say this term is nothing but signal to noise ratio, SNR, this is inversely proportional to the value of n square. Okay, hence scaling the input sequence x of n to satisfy the equation 1 imposes a severe penalty on the signal to noise ratio in the DFT. So if we apply this restriction, or if you go for the scaling, okay, so to get the apply the upper bound on the signal, if you do the scaling, what happen? Now your equation or SNR will become proportional to the value of n square. So what is the meaning of that? Earlier it was proportional to the value of n. So as the value of n increase, your SNR will increase. But now it is proportional to the value of n square. So what happened? It apply the severe penalty. So compared to that previous one, here it will apply the severe penalty on the signal to noise ratio in the DFT. Okay, now let us solve one or two example based on this, so things will be more clear. Okay, write down this example. Determine the number of bits required to compute. Determine the number of bits required to compute the DFT of a 1024 point sequence with a SNR of 30 dB. Okay, here we are discussing this without with scaling. Sorry, without just a second, let me check this. Yeah, with scaling. Yeah, this thing is not mentioned, but you have to consider this with scaling. You can write this here. You have to consider this with scaling, means whatever equation you are getting for scaling, that you have to apply. Okay, so now here n is equal to 1024. So as per the equation, n is equal to 2 raised to v. We are getting v is equal to 10. Now we apply the equation. As the values are given in decibel, we convert this equation into this particular format. 10 log 10 sigma x square divided by sigma q square is equal to 10 log 10 2 raised to 2b minus 20. So here the SNR value is 30. So we can replace this entire term by this value, because this is the SNR in dB. So here you are getting the 30. Then if you apply the simplification, 10 log 10 2 raised to 2b minus 20. When you simplify this, final answer is b is equal to 15 bits. So here number of bits required for this precision or for this particular implementation, determine the number of bits required to compute the DFT. So for the computation of DFT of 1024 points with the SNR 30 dB, what you get? You require the total number of bits are 15 bits over here. So not that, the 15 bits is the precision for both multiplication and addition. So here 15 bits precision is required for both multiplication and addition. Okay, just a second. Can you explain the 2 raised to 2b minus 20? Okay, 2 raised to 2b minus 20. Okay. Okay, so here in this case, what you are doing, that is 10, then 10 log 2 having the value 0.3, and as it is a 2 raised to b minus 20, we are taking this in this multiplication 2b minus 20, and here you have to apply the value of 10 log 2, that is 0.3. So that's why you are getting the term 0.3 into 2b minus 20. Hope you clear, Ekta? This is the query or what you are asking? Sir, had this question been without scaling, that changes would have been there. I have written this. This question is not without scaling. This is with scaling. Okay, we go for the without scaling example after this. Okay, so all of you please note down this example. Here we have done this example with scaling. So we have taken that equation which we have utilized for the scaling. So in this case, our main thing is we are getting the b is equal to 15. So we can say that if we implement that with scaling, what happen? We get the 15 bits as a precision for both multiplication and addition. Now we go for the without scaling. So if we are not doing the scaling, without doing scaling, sorry, earlier we have derived this equation. The equation for only, you can say, the sigma q square, but we didn't calculate the signal to noise ratio for this particular case. So now let us calculate the signal to noise ratio for this case. So without scaling, instead of scaling the input sequence x of n, suppose we simply require that mod of xn is less than 1. Then we must provide a sufficiently large dynamic range for addition such that mod of x of n, x of k is less than 1. In such a case, the variance of the sequence x of n is given as sigma x square is equal to 1 by 3. If you apply this limitation only, in this case your variance will be 1 by 3 and hence the total variance. So here you can say the variance for the x of k or variance of the DFT. So that will become sigma x square is equal to n into sigma small x square. So that will be n by 3. So the SNR without scaling will be sigma x square divided by sigma q square. So that will be 2 raised to 2b only. That will be 2 raised to 2b. Sigma x square divided by sigma q square is equal to 2 raised to 2b. So now let us solve same example but without scaling. Okay. So determine the number of bits required to compute the DFT of a 1024 point sequence with SNR of 30 dB without scaling. So n is equal to 1024. So again you are getting the v is equal to 10. But now your equation is this one, 10 log 10. This is the equation for SNR. Now 10 log 10, 2 raised to 2b. So if you simplify this, here number of bits you require are b is equal to 5 bits only. So the precision in multiplication is reduced from 15 bits to 5 bits. So if you go for without scaling, compared to 15 bits, here your number of bits are reduced from 15 to 5 bit, which is very significant over here. So this is the difference. If you apply the scaling, you require more number of bits for the precision. If you don't apply the scaling, you require less number of bits for the precision. All of you clear up to this? Okay. So now up to now we have seen the quantization error, signal to noise ratio for the case of direct computation. With scaling and without scaling. Okay, now we go for the same calculation but for the FFT. If you go for the FFT algorithms and find out the DFT for endpoint DFT using the FFT algorithm, so in that case we will see how much SNR or how much signal to noise ratio you are getting or what will be the quantization errors. Okay, so quantization error in FFT algorithms. So the computation complexity of the FFT algorithms is less as compared to the direct computation of the DFT. So compared to the, if I am talking about the complexity in the FFT algorithm, as we have calculated less number of multiplication and less number of additions we require if we go for the FFT implementation or FFT algorithm implementation of the DFT instead of direct computation. So in view of that, we might conclude that the computation of the DFT via an FFT algorithm will result in a smaller quantization error. So anybody can say that if complexity is less, obviously you are getting less quantization error. But here it is not true. Okay, so let's demonstrate that. So let us consider the use of 6-point arithmetic in the computation of the Radix 2 algorithm, and specifically we consider the radix 2 DIT algorithm where n is equal to 8. So the results on quantization error that we obtain for the radix 2 FFT algorithm are typical of the results obtained with other radix 2 and higher radix algorithms. So means whatever results we are obtaining over here, these are also applicable to the high radix algorithm and same as for the applied for the other radix 2 means DIT or DIF algorithms. Okay, so each butterfly computation, so when we think about the butterfly computation of the DIT algorithm, involves one complex value multiplication or equivalently 4 real multiplication. So on each butterfly computation, what we have seen, as per the equation, one complex valued multiplication is there or equivalently 4 real multiplication. Here we are ignoring the fact that some butterfly contain a trivial multiplication by plus or minus 1. So here in some butterfly we have seen that they are also scaled by or multiplied by the value 1 or minus 1. So at present we are ignoring that. We are concentrating only the whatever complex multiplication we require. So here total for our single multiplication per butterfly or 4 number of real multiplication for butterfly. So butterflies affect the combination of any one value DFT. Now think about the situation, whatever output DFT you are getting, how many butterfly will affect that particular result. So in general, there are n by 2 in the first stage of FFT, n by 4 number of butterfly in the second stage, and n by 8 in the third stage, and so on until the last stage there were only one. So here for this example, in this case we have taken DIT algorithm for n is equal to 8. Now let us calculate how many butterfly will affect DIT FFT. DIT for 8 point, or you can say just a second, for n is equal to 8. So suppose n is equal to 8. Here there are n by 2 in the first stage. So in the first stage how many butterflies are there? That will affect the output, 4 number of butterflies. Second, n by 4 in the second stage, so that will be 2. And n by 8 in the third stage or last stage. So here n is equal to 8 and the last stage n by 8, so that will be 1. So in this case this will be your last stage. So you can say n minus 1 number of butterfly will affect the result of output. Okay, so total n minus 1 butterfly affect per output point. So that is the same equation we have derived over here. So consequently the number of butterflies per output point. So here first is 2 v raised to minus 1, 2 v raised to minus 2, up to in the last stage that is 2 raised to 0 or 1. So if you simplify this and find out the solution, your solution is n minus 1. And this is particular I have shown the solution for n is equal to 8. Okay, so here total number of butterfly you require for this particular case is n minus 1, means 7 butterfly for single output point. Okay, so let me show you the diagram for this. So here suppose I want to obtain this x of 3. So to obtain this x of 3 from the given inputs x0 to x7, how many butterfly comes into the picture and how many total multiplications are there? So at the first stage, as we have discussed, n by 2 butterfly. So as n is equal to 8 over here, 4 number of butterflies are here, 1, 2, third and fourth butterfly in the first stage. Next butterfly, that is a 5th butterfly over here and 6th butterfly over here. And at the last n by 8, or you can say 1 butterfly also over here, which will do this task, which will means your data is passing from that butterfly. So this is your 7th butterfly. So for n is equal to 8, total number of butterfly data are n minus 1. So here you can easily find out total 7 number of butterflies are needed to compute the 1 DFT point. Okay, so the quantization errors introduced in each butterfly propagate to the output. So any of the quantization errors introduced by any butterfly will propagate towards the output. So note that the quantization errors introduced in the first stage propagate through v minus stages, those introduced in the second stage propagate through v minus 2 stages, and so on. Means suppose in the first stage you are getting quantization error, that will also propagate to the second stage to the higher stages.
So as this quantization error propagate through a number of subsequent stages, they are phase shifted or phase rotated by the phase factors omega n raised to nk. So as your omega quantization errors are passed from the stage, what happen, they are becoming phase shifted or phase rotated by the phase factors, that is your omega n raised to nk. So these phase rotations do not change the statistical properties of the quantization errors, and in particular, the variance of each quantization error remains invariant. So whatever the variance calculation we are doing, so whatever phase shifting and rotation you are getting in the quantization error, that will not affect the variance of the each quantization error. So at the last, whenever you calculate the all the variation calculation, whatever this phase rotation, they will not affect.
Okay, so now let us do the calculation for this case. So if we assume that the quantization error in each butterfly are uncorrelated with the errors in the other butterflies, again we assume that whatever quantization error we are getting in the each butterfly are uncorrelated with the quantization error in the other butterflies. So there are total n minus 1 complex multiplications, as we have seen, total n minus 1 butterflies are needed, and so total here 4 n minus 1 errors that affect the output of each point. Why the 4? Because one complex multiplication that is equal to the 4 real multiplication. So whatever number we got in the previous slide, that is n minus 1. Now here we are converting that to real. So 4 into n minus 1 errors will be, we are getting the quantization errors in the output. So consequently, the variance of total quantization error at the output is, so now we calculate the quantization error at the output, that is sigma q square, that is equal to 4 into n minus 1 into delta square by 12. So here after simplification, this equation is approximately n delta square by 3, because in this equation we are ignoring this minus 1, which are having this very lower value, so we ignore this. So our equation will become n, this 4 and 12. So here you can say easily, you can write this delta square by 3 into n. So n delta square by 3. This one is ignored because having the very low value. And here now we apply the value of delta, that is delta is equal to 2 raised to minus b. So sigma q square is equal to n by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b. So if you compare this quantization error with the previous results, what happened? This is exactly the same result that we obtained for the direct computation of the DFT. So as we have seen that the computational complexity of FFT algorithms are less compared to direct computation of the DFT. But what happened for the quantization error? Your errors or quantization error remains same for both the cases. Why is it so? Because the result should not be surprising, as in fact the FFT algorithm does not reduce the number of multiplication required to compute a single point of the DFT. If we are talking about the single point DFT computation, your FFT algorithm will not reduce the number of multiplication. But where it will apply the reduction, and it does, however, exploit the periodicities in terms of omega n raised to nk, and thus reduces the number of multiplication in the computation of the entire block of n points in the DFT. So if we are talking about single point, your multiplication remains same. But if you are talking about the n, you can say talking about the block of n points, then it will apply the reduction by exploiting the periodicity properties of the Twiddle factor. So as in the case of direct computation of the DFT, we must also scale the input sequence to prevent the overflow. So again, for the prevention of overflow, we are applying the same condition. Mod of x of n must be raised 1 by n. So 0 is less than n minus 1. Then whatever output you are getting, that is also range bound, or you can say for the prevention of overflow, mod of xk having less than 1 value for the 0 to n minus 1. Thus overflow is avoided. With this scaling, the relation obtained previously for the direct computation of the DFT apply to the FFT algorithm as well. Means when you apply this type of scaling, means whatever scaling earlier you are applied, means you are dividing the all input by the same value n. Okay, if you apply that type of scaling, then again you are getting the same results whatever you obtain in the direct computation of the DFT, and you are obtaining the same SNR as you obtain in the previous case. Okay, so the same SNR is obtained for the FFT also. So your SNR for the case of without scaling or normal one and with scaling remains same for the FFT algorithm. But now here we apply the different strategy for the scaling. So let us see that. Since the FFT algorithm consists of a sequence of stages where each stage contains butterflies that involve pairs of points, it is possible to devise a different strategy that is not as severe at dividing each input by point n. So here instead of dividing each point by n, what happened here, it contains the sequence of stages. So that instead of applying that strategy, we are applying the different one. This alternate scaling strategy is motivated by the observation that the intermediate values or mode of xk in the n is equal to 1 to v stages of the FFT algorithm satisfy the condition. So here we put that condition, that is maximum value of x n plus 1 of k and x n plus 1 l will be greater than maximum value of xnk comma xnl. Means simply maximum values of next stage will be greater than or equal to the maximum value of previous stage, and maximum value of next stage must be less than or equal to twice of maximum value of the previous stage. So we apply these conditions. In view of this relation, we can distribute the total scaling of 1 by n into each of the stages of the FFT algorithm. So here what we are doing, instead of applying 1 by n scaling equally to every point, what we are doing this 1 by n into each of the stages of the FFT algorithm. We distribute that 1 by n into each stages. How we distribute it? So in particular, if we are taking mode of xn less than 1, we apply a scale factor of 1 by 2. So initially we apply the scale factor of 1 by 2 in the first stage. So in the first stage, what we are applying, mode of xn must be less than 1 by 2. Then the output of each subsequent stage in the FFT algorithm is scaled by 1 by 2, so that after v number of stages, so if you are applying this strategy for every x of n that is less than 1 by 2, what happen after v number of stages, what you will get, you are getting 1 by 2 raised to v, because you are applied that value to v number of stages. So your answer will be 1 by 2 raised to v. So ultimately that is nothing but equal to 1 by n. So that is what we want. We want the scaling by n value, but here we apply the different strategy. We are dividing each stage by 1 by 2. So total v number of stages are there. So 1 by 2 raised to v, so that is equal to 1 by n. So we are getting the same scaling, but the strategy is different. So thus overflow in the computation of the DFT is avoided. This scaling procedure does not affect the signal level at the output of the FFT algorithm, but it significantly reduces the variance of the quantization error at the output. Specifically, each factor of 1 by 2 reduces the variance of the quantization errors term by a factor of 1 by 4, because it is a square of that. So 1 by 2 reduction in each value will reduce the variance by the twice of that, that is 1 by 4. Okay, so thus 4 into n by 2 quantization errors introduced in the second stage are reduced by the variance 1 by 4 raised to v minus 2 and so on. Now let us calculate the total variance for this. So total variance of the quantization error at the output of the FFT algorithm is, that is sigma q square. We have taken this delta square common, divided by 12. First stage having 4 n by 2, and here this is the scaling 1 by 4 raised to v minus 1, whatever we have mentioned over here. Similarly, 4 into n by 4. Now here instead of n by 2, you written n by 4, and here 1 by 4 raised to v minus 2. So on up to last stage. So if you simplify all this, you are getting the value 2 by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b. That is 2 by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b. Here this factor, whatever factor is written, that is minus, or you can say the value only, 1 by 2 raised to v is having very lower value. So we neglect that and we obtain this approximate value, that is 2 by 3 into 2 raised to minus 2b. Okay. So we now observe that the quantization is no longer proportional to n. So here in whatever quantization error you are getting, that is no longer proportional to n. So again we calculate the, on the other end, the signal has a variance Here your signal having the variance, that is sigma x square is equal to 1 by 3n. So when you apply this equation, sigma x square is equal to 1 by 3 into n into this calculation of SNR, sigma x square by sigma q square, you are getting the answer, that is 1 upon twice n into 2 raised to 2b. So your final answer will be 2 raised to 2b minus 3 minus 1. So thus, by distributing the scaling of 1 by n uniformly throughout the FFT algorithm, we have achieved an SNR that is inversely proportional to n instead of n square. So in previous case, when we applied the scaling, what happened? Our SNR will become proportional to n square. So as we increase the value of n, in your SNR, the reduction will be twice of that. But here what happened? We make the SNR inversely proportional to the value of n instead of n square. So this is how we achieve with this modified scaling strategy in this particular case. Now let us check the another example. So determine the number of bits required to compute the FFT of 1024 points with an SNR of 30 dB when the scaling is distributed as discussed above. Okay, so here when you apply that particular scaling strategy, your equation is 10 log 10 2 raised to 2b minus v minus 1, SNR having the same value, that is 30 dB. And if you simplify this, your answer is b is equal to approximately 11 bits. So compared to direct computational strategy, or you can say the scaling strategy of 1 by n, what happened? In that case, you are getting the b is equal to 15 bits. But now when you apply this different strategy, this can be compared with the 15 bits required if all the scaling is performed in the first stage of the FFT. So compared to that scaling, here you require the less number of bits. Compared to 15, here 11 number of bits are required. So this is how we can reduce the bits over here, and we also obtain the scaling compared to direct computation. All of you clear up to this? Anybody having any query? Yeah, Ekta, please ask.
So when we removed the scaling, we were getting 5 bits, which are again less than 15 bits, and we said that the precision is very low. Here again, we are also getting 11 bits, but here we are saying that 11 bits are good. I didn't get that.
Here in previous case, whatever we have done, we are comparing the case of scaling and without scaling. We can't say this is a bad or good. We just calculate number of bits, how many bits are required. In first case, with scaling, that is 15 bits. Okay, if we don't go for the scaling, obviously we require the less number of bits, so we are getting the 5 bits. But in this case, what we have seen that instead of 15 bits, we require the 11 bits, which is compared with the previous one. Means when you do the scaling in the DFT, direct computation of DFT, you require 15 bits as a precision. But here same precision you are getting with the 11 number of bits. So here you can say that compared to direct computation, here you are getting the results which are comparable. But in previous case, there is a difference only between scaling and non-scaling. So non-scaling, obviously your bits are less. But here with the same precision, or you can say the not same precision, but same value of output, you require the less number of bits. So 11 bits over here.
And sir, what exactly these bits signify?
B is nothing but, here we are written B to calculate the number of bits it requires. So B is nothing but the number of bits.
So my question is, what is the significance of these bits?
These bits, okay, these bits means it show you the number of bits you utilize for the representation of single point. Okay, if you are going for the direct computation, earlier, just a second, okay, let us discuss over here only. So here what happened, here you calculate the, determine the number of bits required for the computation. Means if I want to perform the computation of 102 point DFT, okay, and I convert into the discrete points or in the digital domain, then how many bits are required for that representation? So here, whatever output you are getting, you can represent that output with 11 bits. So here that bits are defined, that number of bits required for the computation.
Okay, sir, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, all of you. So with this, we end with the unit 1. From tomorrow onwards, we go for the unit 2. And tomorrow you are having the test that is of the, you can say, 10 marks quiz between 1:30 to 2. Okay. And today I upload the entire unit 1 on your Moodle. Okay. Okay, let me take the attendance.